All right, welcome back to another video walkthrough. Today I'll be taking you through Google Forms, new Google Forms, teaching you how to create a Google form, how to manipulate all the questions and create the questions the way that you want them, being able to send out your Google form, and making your form a quiz that can be automatically graded by Google. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to need you to do is go navigate to your Drive, and within your Drive, you're going to be able to create this new form, and you could go ahead and create it inside of a folder, maybe that you have organized by your classes. And in order to get to a new form, you click New, and then this little drop-down box or menu from More. First option is Google Forms. When you click Open, it opens up a similar screen where you're going to give your form a title, all right there, and maybe a description, maybe some more information for students that'll be taking this quiz or these responses. If you click up on the top up here, this top left, it'll change the name of your forms. That way you can easily find it back in your Google Drive, whatever name that you give it. And so let's talk about the breakdown in Google Forms here. And the first question is always untitled for you, and you navigate by clicking. Once I click down here on this untitled form or untitled question, I now can give it a name, maybe what question I want to answer, or ask, I should say. What day is today? You could potentially add a photo here by clicking on the image. That photo could be uploaded from your computer. Maybe it's saved on your desktop. Or if you have a photo in your Google Drive, you can always find one there and post it. What kind of a question do you want to ask your students? This drop-down box here. Do you want it to be a text answer where students have to input their response in text? Do you want to give the students a choice, either by multiple choice buttons, check boxes, or just a drop-down menu choice? Is it a scale questions from 1 to 10? Is there a grid where students will have to select the correct answer from? Or is it a matter of a date and a time? Once you've got that selected, then your options down here will change accordingly. I changed the check boxes, and now these are right there. If I want the short answer text, now that text is where the students are going to choose. But I want a multiple choice one. And so I'll put down, it's Wednesday. I hit the tab over. I can insert a picture just for that choice. So maybe you're wanting the choices to be pictures and having the students select the right picture. If I click on add another option, it allows me to put another response down here. If I add another option, you get the feel of it. I can even have maybe it's other. Is there an other choice that needs to go there? Also down towards the bottom, you have this little page here that allows you to duplicate. Maybe you want to make the same kind of question with the same responses and the same question. Do you want to delete that question, put it in the trash? They're required. If you are giving this form as a quiz, highly suggest that you make every question required. That way students they can't skip questions, they can't accidentally forget to answer a question. We've all been on a website where we've forgotten to put in one piece of information in a box that was required. By clicking next, you're not allowed to move on. Same deal here. So if a student forgets to answer number 2, and then they try to hit submit, it will not allow them to submit because they haven't answered a required question. 3 little dots down here, more options for you on a question, a description. You can go to a section based on the answer. So if you're giving a quiz, what that means is if a student responds to question 1, if they choose answer A, it will take them to a specific section where they have other questions. If they choose answer B, it'll take them to a completely different section where they'll have different questions. So you see how you can make it kind of a web, if you will, or a path where students' answers take them to different kinds of questions or just different responses for them. Or you can always shuffle the option order. This is good if you're going to give this as a formal assessment and you don't want students who are sitting in close proximity to each other to look over at somebody else's screen and just click an option based upon the location. Well, that was the second choice, so I know, the answer's got to be that one. Once you make your first one, this little toolbar over here for you always follows you wherever you're at. The first one is how you can add a second question, and it always will populate down below. You could add a title and description down below a question, a picture, a video, and a section. More on that here in a second. So I got my other question here, what day is tomorrow? And for this one, I'm feeling like it should be a checkbox. Or maybe what day is your favorite? And Tuesday. I can hit the tab twice. First tab takes me over to this little picture guy. Second tab just goes down to the options. So if you want to be quicker on the keyboard, you could just do double tab to get down to the next one. Saturday and maybe a Monday. Just put those options down there. But underneath this one, I want to put a video. And you could do a URL, which is just the website address, or you can do a YouTube search because you're in Google and Google owns YouTube. You can always just search for any video that's out there on YouTube and it will bring up this search. And you'd want to post this video down below and give it a title there. You can have some, where do you want the video to go? I like it right there in the middle. And I'm going to add a question down below so I can post this video and students can see the video and I can ask a question about nature. This one I want it to be a short answer, so I got my text right there. Again, required response. I don't believe I made that one required. Got to go back and do that. Again, just good practice to make them required for students if you're giving them as an assessment. And that's kind of how you make those responses. This little toolbar follows you all the way through there. Now let's talk up here on the top, these kind of settings. First one, this color palette, or sorry, this one's an add-on. If you have other add-ons like Flubaroo or any other automatic, Flubaroo's automatic grading, but you don't really need it now that you have quizzes. There's different add-ons that allow you to do specific text, different themes that you can add on there, all sorts of things you can explore when you're on the add-on, a little puzzle piece. The color palette, if you want to change the color, or if you want it to be more of a picture theme for your students, you can select those. The little eyeball is a preview. How does it look on the student side? This is what the students will see when they take your quiz or your form. And finally, the little settings wheel. This one's important. On the General tab, restricting to Manchester Community School users means that this form can only be taken by email addresses that are within our domain. So this cannot be given to parents. It cannot be given to other students in other schools. Basically, anyone who has an email address outside of the Manchester Community Schools, the MCS domain, cannot take it. Collecting email addresses. Do you want to have the username, the student's email address collected? If you're giving this as a quiz, I would strongly suggest you do this. That way, the student who is signed into the Chromebook is the student who's submitting the responses, and that's the student that you will see. If you didn't do this, if you didn't collect the email addresses, and you just gave a text box for first name, text box for last name, a student potentially could put in the wrong name. They could switch names, right? They could do something kooky. But if you collect the email addresses, it's going to automatically collect the respondent's email address, the student's email address, and that way there's no confusion on who submitted what response. You could say you only take this quiz once, or you can allow them to take it multiple times. Do you want students to receive a copy of their response or not? Either way there. Do you want students to be able to edit after they've already submitted answers, go back and change their answers, or see a summary of chart and text responses? Once you get all this in line and you're ready to do the quiz part of it, quizzes is your third option over here. And you cross that over, you make this little toggle switch to make it a quiz. And then you have a couple options. Do you want students to see their grades immediately or later? And do you want them to see which ones are right and which ones are wrong? After you make that, saved, and now we've got a new option down here on our questions. It's this answer key. So when you click on answer key, you've got to assign points for the question. Go down to the next question. Again, answer key. What day is your favorite? And for this one, since it is an opinion, what's their favorite? And there's check boxes. I'm going to go ahead and just assign that every answer is correct because, again, it's an opinion. And I just want the students to be, as long as they answer it, it is required they get 5 points for it. Notice down here on the short answer text, there is no answer key. Google cannot answer or cannot grade typed out responses, those short answers, those shorthanded ones. Those are still going to have to be graded by you, the teacher, individually. But once you have your answers assigned here, you can send the quiz out. And you can do that in 2 ways. You could either send it out in a mass email to your students, or since this is already saved in Drive, you can go to your classroom, and in your classroom you could post this as an announcement or an assignment for students, and you go to your Drive and you could find your Google form right in My Drive by searching, or in your Reason if you were just working with it like I was. And now this can go out to all the students. And that's just one way. That's another way, probably a faster way. It's already on Google Classroom. Students don't have to figure out where that email is from you. It's already posted on their forum. Now you send it out, right? Students have the quiz, they're taking the quiz, you've got the answers marked, you did all that background work, and now you want to see the answers, so responses. Let's look at one that I gave to a couple individuals. And so when responses start coming in, you'll see a number appear up here on this response tab. When you click on it, it'll give you the answer of how many, and then the summary. Summary is really good for seeing the average, the median, the range of point distributions. How are your scores distributed amongst the respondents in your class? You know, how many students got all 25 points? How many students only got 5, right? I've got all 3 respondents only got 5. Here's a really good one too. Frequently missed questions. Which question or questions are really giving your students trouble? You know, what concepts do you need to go back and try and re-emphasize? And then down below, it gives you a question by question breakdown. You know, how many students got it right? How many students answered wrong? You know, I look, all 3 of my respondents thought that Indiana was the 15th state to join the Union. So really important to go back and really talk about that that Indiana was the 18th state to join the Union. You could even do an individual response. So this is by student, see what each individual student chose as their answer. And I didn't collect usernames on this one. You would see the student's name as it would appear. Now, you've got all these responses. They're already graded, right? They've got a score. They know what they got. But how do you get them in the grade book? By clicking this little green sheets over here, it'll provide you with a spreadsheet, a breakdown of the scores for the students over here in column H based upon their username. I didn't collect their username, again, didn't want to have that information, but as you collect their username, their email address will appear here. You could select the entire spreadsheet by clicking the little box up here between 1 and A. And you go to data, and you could sort the range by username, and that would sort it based upon alphabetical. If you collected students' first names and last names as well as their username, you could do the same thing. You'd select everybody, and then you could sort in the data, sort range by their last name, and that will give you the same order that's in gradebook, and then you can go right down the line with score, right? Just be careful that if a student was absent and didn't take the quiz, right, their name obviously is in here because they didn't take it, so you can't go exactly straight down the line when you're grading. Kind of a deal. So that grades was from Flubaroo, just so you know. It's a different kind of add-on application that does basically the same thing that Google Forms does right now. So you got your scores there, you got your points, you put them into the grade book, and that's it. You know, you've made your quiz, you created all of the questions, you put in photos or videos if you wanted to, you put in different text, you gave them the options of what kind of questions they were going to answer. you finished out the answer key, you put the correct responses in there, you made sure that quizzes was checked over here, then you gave the answer key, you collected the email addresses, all that kind of stuff. You figured out how you wanted to share your form with your students. Do you want to send it out in one mass email? Do you want to post to your Google Classroom? Students are responding to you. You're able to see their responses, and then get a breakdown of that and valuable data. Now you can go back and try and reteach some concepts that students were struggling with. And all that can be done here within Google Forms and Google Classroom. So thank you for watching. I hope you learned something today.